So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today I have two members from the band Haurun, and they're a band that play a style of like psychedelic, progressive rock and metal, and they're hailing from the Bay Area in California. And I have two members from the band here. I have Joel, who's a guitar player, and Eliot, who's the drummer of the band. So first of all, how are you guys today?
Great.
Good. So yeah, I've listened to the album in full, and I really dig the psychedelic feel of the band. So tell me a little bit of how you guys got together.
So we, Joel and I first connected originally through Craigslist, actually. Like we were playing in sort of another music project, and we both were like really into like droney kind of doom bands, things like Earth and Acid King, that kind of vibe. And we wanted to sort of make a band that had that kind of vibe to it. So we started writing music, and it was basically just Joel like writing riffs, and I would like do some of the arrangements of like the music. And then we again like through Craigslist actually found our other guitarist, and connected with some of the other musicians. And then our guitarist had one of his mates played bass, which is JP, who's our bassist. And then we just kicked it off really. And then we found Lyra, our singer, through a Craigslist ad as well. So it was like that
serendipitous almost. It's like Craigslist is hit and miss a lot, and you're not sure what you're going to get even when you go and buy something, or someone's going to come buy something from you. So it's when you meet people and trying to collaborate, and it was really good. Like we kicked it off pretty well with everybody immediately. And
so so you got together like in a really old school kind of way, like which goes with the music. And Lyra, great vocalist. She's got some great soulful voice to her. It really adds a lot to the music. Did you, when you were doing this style of music before you had the singer, did you want a female singer for this style of music?
I personally always wanted a female singer. For the front person, I just like that kind of representation with a female, first of all. And I just like having that type of voice with this type of music. I mean, I feel like this stuff is like, there's a lot of melodic work in it, and it's not so typical of stoner rock kind of genre. So I feel like a female singer was just appropriate for it in general.
Yeah, I think like Joel and I both like that sort of dark, sort of edgy sound, but something that's also got more like psychedelic sort of melodic tones to it as well. And so like having a female vocalist just sort of adds some of that like brighter like textures and color to the music that I think we were looking for. So
no, I really think her voice is very distinctive, and I think it goes really well with the style of music that you guys are playing. So you got together through Craigslist, and when did you started like working on these songs that are part of this album that it's dropping soon? It's dropping on September the 22nd.
I'd say you go for it, Joel.
I think we had that turn of events in 2020, I think, at some point, like midway through, and I think we had some ideas already formulated, but nothing serious. But I think that like mid 2020 is when we really started working on this stuff, and we wanted to put out, really focused on just getting it out again, working through this whole process.
And Joel and I, like, since we first started collaborating, had like a pile of riffs that Joel had written, and we had like just through like we just sort of compiled a bunch of material. And so once like we had Lyra and had the like all the band together, we just basically like started writing it. It was originally like just instrumental tracks that Joel and I and Daniel, our other guitarist, wrote a couple of riffs as well. Like Luna, that track was a lot of the riffs were stuff that he'd written in the past. And once we had the instrumentals down, then Lyra would come and she'd write the lyrics and put her melody lines and stuff to it. So
I think with Soil, I don't remember the circumstance, but you were over my place. We were working through stuff, and just sitting there screwing around with the acoustic, and I think I was just playing through the beginning of how Soil, like the bass, the basic structure of Soil, and you're like, hey man, why don't we just, a lot of it comes out just like that, sit there and tooling around and just something pops out, and it's really good flow.
Yeah, that song, you're talking about the song that ends the album, Soil, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's a great song. It's a long track at 11 minutes, and I like the middle part where it gets like a great bass tone, and you do something very interesting on the drumming. I think the drums in that track stand out. Tell me a little bit about that song and your drumming process for that one.
Well, yeah, I think like my approach to drumming is always to give a lot of space in the music, and especially with this style of like music, it's just creating this atmosphere where there's a lot of like openness and that like drony kind of quality. But because I guess we're sort of doing that for a while, and then just had like a double time section where we like still maintain the riff, but just like create this like sense of momentum with the drums like moving into like more double time. So tried it sounded cool, so went for it.
Yeah, no,
we like both those vibes. We like to have that sort of slow, like heavy, like like you're just falling into a pit of tar, where it's really drony, dark sound, but also like those moments where Daniel like can just solo and riff, and we just like have more of like a heavier, upbeat kind of vibe to it. So I like to play with that balance.
Yeah. So when you were deciding on a band name, how did you decide on Haurun as a band name?
Yeah, we had a band name previously, and we had to change that. And it's always been, I can never come up with names. Like there's so many names that are great and are already taken. And then if you think you have an idea, you look it up and like, oh shit, that one's taken. So I think that, from my remembrance of school, that I had a social studies class that taught Egyptology, and I was always kind of interested in it. I watch a bunch of stuff, like it's just a very interesting subject in general. And I just thought, hey, why don't we look up some god names in Egypt, and a lot of those are already taken as well, but I just stumbled on this one, and it was like nobody had it, popped in there, presented to these guys. There's always been some kind of, everybody asks us how we pronounce it, which is I think that's kind of cool, because it's kind of like one of those things that sticks in your head because you have to ask how to pronounce it. It's actually spelled a couple different ways as well. So but that's basically
I was reading, I think it's I can't remember which Egyptian god it is, but it's I can't remember because there's so many gods, but I did see that you put it in your page that it's like an Egyptian god of some sort. And I'm like, I wonder, because the album is not a concept album about Egypt. You're not Nile, which every album they have to talk about something about Egypt. But I think you put it because it's got that psychedelic vibe to it.
Psychedelic, and I think Haurun, from what we sort of, like read, is that it's more associated with, I think he's a god of death, but also with like some healing elements. There's like this sort of dark but also light part to his like archetype, and so sort of fit with our style of music as well. It's like dark and like has that eeriness to it, but also has some like lighter sort of more like uplifting as well. So it seemed to like fit.
Yeah, I think it's got that contrast of eeriness, but also hopefulness to the music. And I like the album cover. So here's the cover for the album. It's called Wilting Within, and I like the flower that you use for it. Like with this album cover, what were you trying to convey?
So I think we'd seen some photos of ultraviolet flowers, like some photography, and it has this like dark but psychedelic like quality to it. So we liked the vibe a lot and felt like it just fit with like our sound, and so just went with it really. And then the title of Wilting Within just sort of had that kind of like vibe to it as well. So
yeah, it goes well with the music. So for the writing process and recording, I know you recorded this in San Francisco. Does Lyra work on the lyrics, or is this like a band that works on lyrics together?
No, she came up with the lyrics herself for the stuff, yeah. And I think we worked with a little bit on the melodies, but she's actually really good at, taking what we have and listening to it and coming up with her own thing, and it just fits. Just been fitting very well. Yeah, she's great at it.
Yeah, no, yeah. So what are some of the themes that you cover on this record?
I think that's more of a question for Lyra actually, because
that's a good question.
We do a lot of the instrumental parts, like and then Lyra will sort of create the lyrics and the title and everything. So
I think during our listening party, people were asking yesterday, and the one that I caught was Abyss, and I believe she mentions about commitment, either not being able to commit or lack of commitment, or just like that's I can't do it or whatever, and just having that kind of feeling about it.
Yeah.
So
where was the listening party for the record?
This was like a Bandcamp event that happened yesterday, where it was like a promotion for people to hear the record before it gets released.
Yeah. So was it a cool experience seeing people listen to your record and you sitting there and looking at maybe like their expressions, see how they were digging the record?
Yeah, it was pretty good. There was a number of people in there. We unfortunately couldn't see anybody. It was just a chat box, but there was some really good feedback in there actually, and the record label is also in there commenting on a few things. He's an old school guy. He's listening to it to a vintage Marantz receiver that he said. I didn't ask what speakers he had, but he was digging it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the feedback we've got has actually been really positive. People seem to really enjoy the music, and it seems like, because I think each song is a little different. There's like there's some like variety. You're not always expecting like what is coming next if you've not heard the record before. So people seem to respond well to that.
Yeah, I like Abyss is a good one, but I think the one in the middle, Tension, is really good.
Okay.
That one, yeah, they're all, it's 7 tracks. They're all, it has a good flow of an album, and for people who like those bands like YOB or Yob, King Buffalo, which I've also interviewed on the channel, I love those kind of like psychedelic retro vibes. So for you guys working on this record, for you, I can ask each one, like, which song is your favorite song right now and why? And which song on the record was the hardest to create?
You first, Eliot.
I personally love Soil. I think that it was just really fun. Like I just remember, like it sort of has this. I mean, the melody and everything I just really enjoy, and it's really fun to play as well. I like that it's like got that slow, dark kind of energy to it, and then it gets more like, for drumming, it's really fun in that sort of middle part as well. So I think that's probably my favorite track. And then what was the other question?
Which one was the hardest to work on,
Oh,
to
okay.
create?
I mean, they were all all definitely had their own sort of like little recording challenges and stuff. I feel like um, Tension and Soil, I think, were probably challenging just because they're longer. You know, like
Yeah.
Soil is sort of like you say, 11 minutes. And so we recorded all of these basically live. So we just had a couple of sessions of like, a couple of takes at it till we liked that one. And then, the odd like guitar overdub and stuff. But most of it was like just done in like a live burst. The longer tracks, just had to like really pull it together. But it was, yeah,
Okay.
all super fun to record actually.
Okay. What about you, Joel?
I think Abyss is my go-to. Just like the beginning. I think we start a lot of our songs are out in a similar way, like having a prelude to getting into it. But Abyss just starts the album out pretty well. I think it's not blasting in your face immediately, and it builds up to it, and then it just kind of comes in nice and heavy. And I like the middle section. It just like drops down from all that and lets the melodies come through and lets Lyra come through and Daniel. So I'd say that Abyss is probably my favorite.
Abyss
And
is
yeah, I think probably the most difficult for me anyway was probably Tension. Just playing it, the physical act of playing Tension to me is most difficult song. So
It gave you tension.
yeah, exactly. And the recording studio, we did do the live stuff and did the overdub, and I remember sitting in a control room and listening to myself play it, sitting on the couch, on this leather couch, and just leaning back and relaxing and playing it through a few times. It was, everybody's watching you. You're on stage in front of your bandmates and the control room guy. But yeah, it was a good experience. I'm excited to do it again, actually.
nice.
Awesome. So yeah, I would recommend this record to anyone who likes those bands that I mentioned, that retro vibe. Great. It's music that really, I think Eliot said, like it takes its time. It spaces out. Like the drum, like you said, that you like to play drums that fills the space. So it's really a record that it's really melodic, and Lyra's voice is amazing on it. So it's a testament that you can still get together with people in Greg list and you'll find a band and not end up tied down in a basement. That was a joke for you. So yeah, so yeah, it's a pretty cool record. I'm gonna put the links for people. I know it's gonna be out this Friday. So you're putting it out on vinyl, CDs, any other mediums that you're putting it out on?
I think it'll be on all the streaming stuff, Spotify, Apple Music, all that, and yeah, I think on most streaming platforms, CD, vinyl, yeah.
Will be out everywhere. So you guys been loving like that retro vibe and that type of styles. Like growing up, which were your like the free bands that inspired you the most to be a musician? And obviously, like Joel can have his free and Eliot can have his free bands.
Go on, Joe.
Three, I'd say Pink Floyd, Queen, and Sabbath. It's probably the three.
I think that's a great combination that really makes sense with the type of music that you guys play, because it's got that heaviness of Black Sabbath, the dreaminess of Pink Floyd, and maybe in the singing and the theatricality of it, it has some Queen on it. So yeah, makes sense. So what about you, Eliot?
For me, I grew up listening to a lot of Hendrix, that sort of bluesy like vibe, and Sabbath. I love Sabbath, and let's see, my God, I have like
Yeah, maybe.
so many bands swimming around in my mind. I think, you know, something that definitely influenced me a lot for like making this sort of music is Yob as well. Like that style of music was just like, you know, I
Yeah,
love that.
they're a great band in that style. So now that you're gonna put out the record, what are the future plans for Haurun?
So I think we're looking to book some shows and get like playing live. We've done a couple of circuits playing in the Bay Area in San Francisco, like where the band is based, and so we've done looking to just play more, you know, play more shows and hopefully like write a bit more music as well and put more stuff out there.
Awesome. So yeah, I'll post the link again for people who wanna check out the band and pre-order the album. So I want to thank you, Joel and Eliot, for taking some time of your day to, you know, chat about me, about the album. So I'm gonna show the artwork again. So here it is, Wilting Within from Haurun. You know, I recommend it to people who like that retro vibe and psychedelic music, and you'll enjoy it. You know, it's a very good debut record. So I really enjoyed it, and hopefully people will enjoy it as well. So anything you would like to say to the people before we go, the fans?
I think we hope that you dig the music. We loved making it, and it's you know, if you like that sort of doomy psychedelic vibe, I think you'll be into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I second that for sure.
Okay. Well, you heard it here on the Shield on a Couch. Check out the band. And until next time, this is Hector, the Shield on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.